and welcome to ILTV's Evening Update. I'm Shimon Peres here with the latest news from Israel.
The United States Justice Department has just announced that it has arrested 2 men with ties to Hezbollah who were planning attacks against Israelis and Americans. On June 1st, Samar El-Debek was arrested in Livonia, Michigan, and Ali Kourani was arrested in the Bronx, New York. United States authorities say that the men tried to provide material support to terrorist group Hezbollah after being trained in bomb-making and weapons use in Lebanon. Kourani was allegedly surveilling Israeli and American military personnel in New York City, while El-Debek was monitoring the United States and Israeli embassies in Panama for potential targets. El-Debek, a naturalized United States citizen, was recruited by Hezbollah between 2007 and 2008 and received instruction through 2014. Kourani, who entered the United States as a science student in 2009, had received training as early as 2000. The New York Police Commissioner says that pre-operational surveillance is one of the hallmarks of Hezbollah in planning for future attacks. In 2012, a Hezbollah suicide bombing in Bulgaria, for example, killed 5 and injured 32 Israelis. It's the 10-year anniversary of Hamas's 2007 coup, but few are celebrating. Israel withdrew unilaterally from the Gaza Strip in 2005 under then Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, ceding control of the area to the Palestinian Authority. Later on, in Palestinian legislative elections in 2006, though, Hamas won a majority. Under pressure from the West, however, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas kept Hamas out of the Palestinian Authority despite the electoral results. In response, Hamas launched a bloody coup in Gaza, even throwing several leading Fatah members in Gaza off 15-story high buildings. Fatah was forced out of Gaza, and since then, Hamas has strictly ruled over the territory, using it as a base for attacks on Israel and maintaining a hardline rejectionist stance. 10 years later, the Gaza Strip lacks a regular supply of drinking water, and now that Abbas is refusing to pay its electricity bill, the lights are off too. Not the most memorable of anniversaries. United States President Donald Trump's new budget has no room for a funding increase for the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. The museum needs around $3 million for increased expenses, and so the Anti-Defamation League is stepping in. In 2016, the museum received $54 million, but they're saying they'll need $57 this year to cover maintenance and security. The Trump administration's 2017 budget, however, is set to deny that request. Now, 64 congressmen from both parties have signed a letter to the president calling for him to meet their funding requests. The letter says that as the number of anti-Semitic attacks around the world rises, the mission of the museum has never been more important. Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, a frequent critic of the Trump administration, is getting involved now too. He says with increasing numbers of hate crimes against Jews and other religious minorities, this museum's mission is as crucial as ever. The Trump administration has made some serious blunders when it comes to the Holocaust. In January, they put out an International Holocaust Remembrance Day statement that didn't even mention the Jews. Then later in April, Press Secretary Sean Spicer's denial that Adolf Hitler used chemical weapons sparked ire. Iran is now sending 5 planes of food to Qatar, following the Gulf nation's crisis with its neighbors. Qatar's land borders are now closed, and it's having difficulty getting food shipped in by air and sea as well. According to an Iran Air spokesman, the national carrier has flown out 450 tons of perishable food to Qatar and is sending another plane today. They're also sending ships loaded with 350 tons worth of food. In related news, Hamas has announced that its chairman Ismail Haniyeh is going to visit Iran, one of the terror organization's main sponsors. Now that Qatar is under pressure to cut its support for Hamas, the Islamist terror group may have to turn to their mutual ally to make up the difference. Recently, Hamas leaders visited Cairo as well to meet with Egyptian officials, and they're claiming they came to new understandings with the neighboring country. A city square in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, has just been renamed in honor of Shimon Peres, the beloved late Israeli president and politician. At a ceremony last Friday, local Jewish community leaders and the mayor of the city honored Peres by renaming Copacabana Square after him. Rivera, the mayor, says that residents of Rio were inspired by Peres, who, quote, wore the same flag, end quote, his whole life. Shimon Peres Square lies in a neighborhood that is home to some 3,500 Jews. Israel's honorary consul to Rio hopes that today's generation realizes Peres' mission of Jews and Arabs living in coexistence. Peres visited Brazil in 2009, meeting with Brazilian President Silva and participating in official military ceremonies, as well as visiting local Jewish communities.
That's all for now. Stay tuned on ILTV.tv for our main daily broadcast playing after this. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you next time with our morning briefing from Israel at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.